I'm sorry for not uploading sooner, but I'm still processing everything that happened in the past few days. But you all have been an incredible help, and probably the only reason I haven't gone crazy yet are your comments and advice. You deserve to know what happened. Also, I'm sorry for breaking this into multiple parts, but there's no way I can fit all of what happened into just one post. I should probably start with reassuring you that I obviously am alive. So are Sandra and Clara, and Leah too. But that doesn't mean we're all okay. On Monday, even as I was still at work, the three of us started to work on a plan. First, we needed to find out as much about what's going on with Leah as we could. Second, we needed to prepare for Tuesday in every possible way. Weapons in case whatever we're dealing with is human. Items used to repel evil in case there's something supernatural going on. After Clara pointed out that bringing a knife when none of us actually can fight with it is incredibly risky, we settled on a baseball bat as a weapon. Sandra promised to do research on things that might protect us from the supernatural and bring what she can. Finding more information was a bit trickier. Clara managed to find some traces of Marcia Spaulding, her publications, and some info about her life, but none of it seemed relevant to whatever was going on. We already tried to look up Christopher Dolliard before we even spoke to Robert Spaulding, but we couldn't find anything. The only results we got were various pages about some dentist with the same name who currently lives on a completely different continent and definitely isn't missing, and articles about the disappearance of Christopher and Matthew that didn't tell us anything new. I was in a dreadful state after I came back from work. My headache got worse, and I was worried sick. I didn't even know what I was supposed to do once I'd see Leah. Should I just shout at her, demand answers? Somehow I doubted I'd get them. I remembered our morning conversation, her absolute calmness while I was shouting at her, her raised eyebrows and cold statement, "You'll be late for work." What was going on with my sister? Because I had afternoon shift that day, I arrived shortly after midnight when everyone was already asleep, so that meant I didn't see Leah until the next day. I had already called in sick, so I didn't have to go to work. Sandra, Clara, and I have decided that we need to search Leah's room to see if we find anything suspicious. Sandra suggested that she and Leah will go to the park for a while. Clara will, incidentally, be in the same park to keep an eye on them. I will search the room and see what I can find. I didn't like the thought of Sandra and Clara being around Leah without me, especially since whatever was going to happen was about to happen that day, and I also didn't want to breach Leah's privacy, but we agreed it was worth a shot. That didn't mean I was only counting on that one plan, though. Again, I didn't sleep much the whole night, even though I probably should have. I just couldn't calm myself down. Eventually, I dozed off a bit, but got up quite early as soon as I heard my parents leave for work. I didn't want to risk Leah leaving the house or doing something dangerous while I was asleep. After I had breakfast, I sat in the kitchen, determined to wait for her. I was half asleep though, and almost didn't hear her as she stepped into the kitchen. I saw her though. "Leah," I said. I didn't know how to continue, but I had to get answers out of her somehow. "Jim, you look terrible." She stared at me, worried and wide-eyed. "Did you even sleep?" I didn't pay any attention to her question, and instead I asked quite bluntly, "Who is Christopher?" She stared at me. "Leah, who is Christopher?" I repeated. "You said I had to wait until today. Well, now is today, so who is he?" I watched the worry in her face disappearing, her expression completely closed off. "Sorry, Jim, it's not quite time yet." What do you mean? She moved closer to me and put her hand on my arm. At that moment, it took more effort than it should for me not to squirm. She spoke very quietly. Jim, please, don't ask me. I can't explain it to you yet, but don't worry. You will know everything you need to know soon. I promise. You wouldn't understand if I just told you now. Maybe I would, I said. Leah, just talk to me and I'll try to understand. I want to know what's going on. She smiled at me and stepped back. I know you do, and you will. Just wait a little more, okay? I had no intention to let it go and just wait. Why should I wait a little more? What's going to happen? She shook her head. You wouldn't understand until it happens. It went on for a while. Every question I had was met with you wouldn't understand or you need to wait. Even though I eventually almost lost my patience and started shouting again, everything I said was met with unperturbed coldness. In the end, I gave up and went to my room while I waited for a message from Sandra or Clara. At that point, I was absolutely exhausted, and after a few minutes, I accidentally fell asleep. I must have slept for hours, because I woke up in the late afternoon to the sound of my phone buzzing. Nobody was at home yet. I looked at the phone screen and saw that Clara was calling. I answered. Yeah, Clara, what is it? I barely managed to suppress a yawn. Okay, Leah and Sandra are in the park now, she said. I'm watching them. They're just talking. Nothing's going on so far. I sat up as I remembered that I agreed on searching Leah's room while she was out. Okay, thanks. Call me again if something happens. I blurted out, hung up without even saying goodbye, and hurried to Leah's room. At first glance, nothing seemed out of the ordinary. Not that I ever spent much time in there, but there wasn't anything that would suggest she was up to something. I began going through Leah's things, slowly and carefully, so nothing would give her any indication I searched her room when she returned. I looked through her desk drawer and opened her wardrobe, but didn't see anything unusual. Only when I opened her nightstand drawer, I finally came across something that could be important. I found Leah's diary. Now, I did have qualms about reading anything from that. I respect her privacy, but I was too worried. If Leah wrote something related to this whole mess, then I had to see it. I opened the diary and quickly skimmed through the pages to see if she's written anything recently. Luckily for me, there were several entries from after her return. It's been 3 days now. I'm still a bit confused. What has Christopher done to me? Did he know I would forget it all for a while? Did he just guess? Is this what he wanted? Never mind. Now that I am back, I can bring them with me. Jim, definitely. Maybe even Sandra. Clara, through Jim, maybe. We'll see. I just need to plan how to do it. Jim is asking me questions. Well, everyone is. But Jim is persistent. I don't think he believes me. But I can't tell him what happened to me just yet. He wouldn't understand. I know I wouldn't if someone just told me. He needs to feel it, experience it, same as I did. I just don't know what to do, which approach would be best. I think Jim is starting to suspect something. I was looking at him, thinking about how to do this, when he suddenly noticed me and gave me an odd look. Sandra is behaving a bit differently around me as well. I had a nightmare today, and Jim heard me. I was dreaming about Christopher. God, I want to be there so badly. But I must wait. The bad thing is that I was talking in my sleep, and apparently I mentioned Christopher aloud. Now Jim wants to know what this is about. How much does he know? Maybe trying to act as normally and inconspicuously as possible was a mistake. I'm not a good manipulator, not even with the people I know, like Jim. Maybe I should start being as suspicious as possible. He wants answers, after all. He doesn't need to know anything until the end. Then he'll understand. I'll bring Clara there as well, if I can. If Jim is persuaded first, she will surely follow him. Tuesday is the right time. We will all be exactly where we should be soon. I stared at the pages for some time, absolutely dumbfounded. Leah. My sister was planning something, just as I suspected. But what exactly? Was she working with Christopher? And how did they even meet? And what did she want with us? And oh my God, whatever her intentions were, Sandra and Clara were involved too. This was bad. I was silently panicking and couldn't really think. I needed to calm down, phone Clara or Sandra, meet with them, keep my eyes on Leah. But before I could do anything, my own phone buzzed. Clara was calling me. Jim! Just from that one word, I could tell she was panicking as well. Jim, Leah is gone. What? What do you mean, gone? Well, she just told Sandra she needed to go to the toilet, and she must have escaped by the window. We don't know where she is. Before I could react, I heard Sandra's muffled voice. Oh my God! She sounded absolutely stunned. Leah is in the house. What? I heard Clara ask. Sandra must have grabbed the phone from her, because next I heard her voice more clearly. Jim, I just got a message from Leah. She's in the house. Crap, I swore. I was trying to think quickly. Okay, listen. Here's what we're going to do. Grab anything that can be used as protection against, well, anything. Then come to my house, and only then will we decide what to do. Don't even think about going there on your own. You hear me? Yes, I understand. See you in a bit, Jim. Sandra ended the call. I was about to lean against the wall and try to collect myself, but before I could do that, I noticed that I've received 2 messages from Leah as well. My heart skipped a beat as I viewed them, and I immediately understood why Sandra was sure where Leah was. The first message was just a photo of the house. The second one was a text that read, "It's time to get answers, Jim." Thank you, spooks and spookettes, for joining me for this reading. I really hope you enjoyed it. If you did, I would really appreciate a like on this video. If you think you have a story for me to read, I will leave links below where you can send it. Also, look forward to reading any comments left down below. If you'd like to join me for more, there's always a subscribe and notification buttons that would really make my day. If you're not ready to subscribe just yet, I hope you will check out my other videos. Thanks again, and wishing you a sweet night.